to the Chronicles of Economics. I love how our economy works or sometimes doesn't work. When something doesn't work right in our economy or even society, we often look for simple explanations. Yet, economics and society as a whole are very complex topics, and in my opinion, the best way to understand where we are today in terms of our economy is to understand where we come from. My name is Janos, and this is Chronicles of Economics. Today I'd like to take you back to Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, where the roots of our economic systems and the invention of writing originate. Mesopotamia is a Greek word meaning between rivers. Mesopotamia is in the historical West Asian region between the Tigris and the Euphrates. It's called the cradle of civilization because it was one of the earliest areas where complex societies and urban centers emerged. It was a melting pot of innovation. Homo sapiens, or us humans, first appeared between 2 to 300,000 years ago on this planet, but we were mostly travelers, hunters, and gatherers, roaming around the earth in small groups of up to 100 people. When I say complex societies emerged in Mesopotamia, it means that it's one of the first times that we found archaeological proof that more than 50 to 80,000 people lived in one place at the same time. In Mesopotamia, we find the first megacities of its time. The whole Sumer had a total estimated population of 0.8 to 1.5 million, which for its time and as far as we know now had not been the case before. Two of the most groundbreaking innovations in human history were born in Mesopotamia: writing and mathematics. Most historians suggest that Sumer first emerged as a permanent settlement for people around 5500 to 3300 BC. As the population in Sumer and its cities is growing around 3200 BCE, the people of Mesopotamia are facing a challenge: managing their growing economy. Keeping account of ingoing and outgoing resources and managing workers in the bustling city-states, especially the areas around Ur and Uruk. With a growing population, religious, bureaucratic, and governmental influence grew, and as well as a centrally planned economy emerged, where the government body makes economic decisions regarding the production and distribution of goods. Religion and government are deeply or were deeply intertwined. The temples, ziggurats or palaces, were central contact points for the Sumerian population. But why the temples? Temples weren't just places of worship as we would imagine them today. They were economic powerhouses. These temples or ziggurats were vast and complex structures with priests, officials, craftspeople, and shepherds working all in their estates. Sumer lacked many important resources like stone, metals, and wood, which is why they relied on trade to get those resources. To cope with the lack of those critical resources, they centralized much of the agricultural trade and developed systems to make the internal market more efficient. And for that centrally planned economy, temples played a pivotal role in managing resources, and writing became their tool for accounting. From grain storage to livestock, every transaction was meticulously recorded on clay tablets. Writing was invented in these temples. It was not for artistic, religious, or literary expression. It was a practical solution to an economic problem. The temples, the epicenters of power, started using the first form of writing, cuneiform, to keep records of their economic transactions. We will dive deeper into the reasons in a bit. This leads us to the next Sumerian invention: mathematics and the shekel. The shekel was not just a currency, but a system that fueled the temple economy. These tokens were used as a means of exchange and a measure of value. Ironically, shekels were rare and not in general circulation. Most transactions were done in the form of writing and with credit and debt agreements. The temple officials, armed with their cuneiform tablets, ensured that every real or virtual shekel spent or received was documented. To understand how the shekel system works, we must understand that the Sumers developed mathematics and arithmetic to a point at which we still use many of their findings today. As the economy flourished, The priests and temple workers needed a common number system across Mesopotamia. The first number system they adopted was sexagesimal, that means with a base of 60. Our present number system, for example, has a base of 10. 60 is a very versatile number, having many divisors like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12, 15, 20, and 30. Our 60-minute hour originates from their thinking and choice to use 60 as their base. Even our 7-day week results from their finding that the moon phases corresponds roughly with a 29-day rhythm, which can be roughly divided into 4 equal parts of 7. Back to the shekel. Shekels were units of weight made out of silver and equivalent to a bushel of barley. A shekel could be subdivided into 60 minas, and 1 mina corresponds to 1 portion of barley. The temple workers used the roughly 29-day moon phase, which is also roughly 30 days, and counted it as a month, and gave themselves 2 portions of barley every day, thus 2 minas a day. And for that whole month it results in 60 minas, or 1 shekel. Makes pretty much sense why they chose this number. Shekels, or their money in that sense, was not the product of commercial transactions, but a unit of accounting that allowed bureaucrats to keep track of resources and move things back and forth between departments. They used the system to calculate debts like rents, fees, loans in silver, which made silver effectively money. I said that it did not circulate largely. I have to follow and say that it did circulate, but only to a certain extent. As I said before, there was not enough silver to circulate around the whole economy, which made virtual money, debt and credit, much more important than the physical money itself, the silver. Archaeologists found chambers and even remains of silver ingots in the temples that have been there for thousands of years. It would have been easy enough for the temples to standardize the ingots, stamp them, and create some authoritative system to guarantee their purity. They had all the technical skills to do so, but it was just not necessary. Virtual money ruled. While the shekels flowed in and out, ensuring a delicate balance that kept the economic engine running, people wouldn't have silver on hand. That's why when they had to pay taxes, fees, and so on, they didn't have to pay with silver, but could pay with pretty much anything they had around. Peasants who owed money to the temple or some official would mostly pay with barley, which is why the ratio of silver to barley is so important at the time. But they could even pay with goats, furniture, clothes, or anything else, because the temples could use anything. The temples were huge industrial operations with their craftspeople, which is why they could make use of pretty much any resource that the people brought them. So let's wrap this first important lessons about Mesopotamia around 3 to 2000 BCE up. Mesopotamia had a vast network of palaces and temples that were huge economic hubs and central contact points for the population. The economy, and especially agriculture, was to a large part centrally planned and flourished for hundreds of years. The silver to barley ratio was a crucial aspect to manage this sector, and most transactions weren't done with physical money. They were done with writing, also credit and debt. Other parts of the economy, like commodity trading, weren't entirely controlled by the temples, and palaces and prices tended to fluctuate. Writing was used in these parts as well to settle and monitor transactions. It's crucial to recognize the lasting legacy of their innovations. The writing that began as a solution to an economic challenge laid the foundation for future civilizations, influencing the way we conduct and record economic transactions today. Even after 5,000 to 6,000 years, we still see parallels to countries today that use partly centrally planned and partly open market economies. The early Mesopotamian civilization and the cities within Sumer flourished for several centuries. It began to develop around 4500 BC, and the first urbanization and complex societies in cities like Uruk, Ur, and Eridu. Sumerian city-states peaked during the early dynastic period between roughly 2900 to 2300 BC, where they constructed their impressive monuments, developed writing, and achieved significant advances in mathematics, astronomy, and law. Now we can sometimes look beyond just free and centrally planned markets as a black and white scale. Maybe we should use our imagination to go beyond how economies worked 3,000 years ago and evolve systems and improve our lives even more. So I hope you join me next time as I will discuss the origins of money. What is older, money or debt? I think after watching this video you know a little bit in which direction this goes. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Until next time, and stay tuned.